Yes. Yes. I have to set this up. Yeah. Not sure who this was on, but she was able to write down a license plate number. 38 Wisconsin plate. We parked in the side of the road. No, we moved our car. We're good now. We parked down the way. Makes no sense. Motherfucker. All right. Oh yeah, that happens. Okay. Anything with the US on it, it's like or like final.
Would you like an oatmeal raisin cookie?
Absolutely. It looks homemade.
Yeah, oh, they are homemade.
Beautiful. Oh, and they smell homemade too.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's nice and soft. There you go.
beautiful. Thank you so much.
welcome.
Appreciate it. Oh my God. That's fucking fire. I'm eating dessert first. Oh, we're good. I'm coming. Let me double check on the YouTube.
Aaron,
Hey, Robert,
hey now, here we
what's
go.
right?
Hey,
We on time? Are we too early? Or we too late?
well, you know, I was always told when you're early, you're on time.
Right, exactly.
If you're on time, you're late.
Yep, yep.
You looking good, brother. You looking good.
Yeah,
You
I'm
know,
trying. You looking good too.
I appreciate that. Yeah, man. I'm sitting here, man. I got these two books I'm trying to get out,
Yeah,
and
me,
I'm
I'm
working with Karen Sanford on this one on the history of Englewood. So
what?
Dr. Karen Sanford, she's the one who did the biography of Jesse Jackson years
Oh,
ago. I'm working with her on the history of the city of Inglewood.
oh wow, shit, that'll be nice.
Yeah, I think that's fun. I'm getting some pushback from the city. Well, at least through the library, man. I don't know what I'm gonna have to do with that, but I'm not able to get the photographs that I need. Like when I did the history of the city of Compton,
Hmm?
I went to the archives over there, man. They couldn't help fast enough.
Oh,
You
is
know,
that
if
right?
you're ever looking for anything that they have at the archives at Cal State Dominguez Hills, let me know because those folks hook you up, man. They scanned all my pictures for me.
Wow.
I had to scan at 300 DPI. They just asked me, "What did you need them? What level scan at?" They asked me if they were if I wanted them to scan them for me. They're just great to work with.
That was awesome.
Yeah, but I'll talk to you a little later, man, about because you said the museum in Seattle's not open yet, right?
No, we're and I think in November we're gonna open up our temporary uh location.
Okay. Yeah, because like I said, I'll be up that way next week. Bunchy,
Bunchy, where's Bunchy at?
there
All right,
he
what's
is.
going on, y'all? You
All
see
right,
me right there.
there he is.
It's all power to people. Good to see y'all.
Power to the people.
Yeah. Hey, Eric, you got a new hairstyle.
Yeah, I got tired of the ponytail
Yeah.
and let it go, you know.
Hmm.
yeah,
So,
I know.
well,
Well,
you
it's
looking
like
good. That's first thing
now,
I noticed. I said, wait a minute.
you know, what I do. People been knowing me now, for these
yeah.
hats because I'm gonna tell you something, and I don't know if you know this, Bunchy, but the worst thing you could get is a sunburn on the top of your head. That
oh, really?
shit hurts. Aaron,
Oh,
you wouldn't know nothing
Oh,
about that.
yeah,
no,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
man.
No, no, no.
Thought
Well,
about
Man, I'll be out here in this heat, and people don't have caps or hats on. I don't understand how they do it out here in this heat and the sun. Oh
mhm.
man,
Yeah. Well, I used to always wonder why my grandfather always wore
yeah,
a hat. I said, "Oh well, he is just well, his head's bald, so he covered with his hat." He's like, "Boy, one day you will know. The thing
right.
that you don't want to get is a sunburn on the top of your head."
Oh my God.
So,
I bet that's the son of a. That ever happened?
yeah.
Did that ever happen to you, Robert?
yeah, it sure did. I'm hard headed. I wasn't listening to my elders, like, oh, pops, okay, grandpa, and I got out there and my hair started thinning. And one time I was somewhere and it because it's a headache and it hurts because it burns.
Hmm.
So I was like, okay. So he
Right.
just said, because my grandpa
Oh,
used
it
to always wear
burns. Yeah,
he liked Stetsons.
and you start peeling.
Yeah.
Right.
But this man, you get the headache and the pain.
Yeah, it
So
burns.
yes. So I was like, forget that. Because see, when we was
Hey,
all younger,
comrades,
Yeah.
when we was younger, we had to worry about that. Hey, how's
we
it going, brother?
All right.
doing all right. How about yourself?
Oh
Doing
yeah.
doing
Right.
well.
We gonna get started about 10 minutes, y'all.
Oh, everybody's good.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Okay,
All right. Right on.
Just
Right
where
on.
show.
Billy J. Brooks at? Billy Che, where you at, man? I might
Yeah.
give him a call. I think I am. He might have something to do. Bunchy, you going to Oakland for Elaine's? Bunchy, can you hear me? No.
What's that date?
The 17th, couple of days.
Yeah, what's the date? What's that date?
17th.
Oh wow, no, no, no,
Yeah.
no,
To the day the 14th.
no, no, no.
In a couple of days.
I won't be able to make it, man. I'm so far behind in my work from the storm, man. Uh, I started to get my guys to work today, but they all wore out. I said, man, they need a break, man. We've been picking up so much trash and stuff, and oh, man, it's been rough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
What's
wanted to go, but on the 17th, I'm going, like I was telling, to my wife's family reunion in Tacoma.
Tacoma,
So
Washington?
we're gonna be out there.
Yeah, we had a Tacoma branch.
Where's it at?
Tacoma, Washington.
Yeah, Tacoma, Washington. And that's where they're having the reunion. And I think we're going to be going into Seattle for something. I think there's a bus tour or something they're going to do. That's why I was asking you about the museum.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
Elder Aaron, how you doing today, sir?
Oh, I'm doing okay. How are you doing?
Doing good, doing good. I'm Daniel, by the way. I'm the Minister of Culture of the Black Liberation Party with Kwame.
Right on. Are you an artist, brother?
I am. I'm a poet.
Okay. Right
Yeah,
on. Right on.
yeah, for sure.
Have we heard any of your poetry?
Not yet, but I'm supposed to be performing a little bit today, so I'm looking forward
Okay.
to it.
Good deal. Right on. That was one thing I could never do, man. I enjoy writing. I'm a writer, but ever since I could not do poetry. I don't
Yeah,
know what I think it's a mental block, from when I was a kid, because I couldn't make nothing rhyme.
I poet back in the day. I was the best poet in Seattle.
Oh
Matter of
yeah?
Oh man.
Oh, you froze, Aaron. Yeah. Well, see, when I was in high school, I was on the speech and debate team and such, and we would do pieces. I went to Compton High. We'd do pieces from the last
oh,
poet.
but you don't remember? You're not familiar with the Watts Writers Workshop? They were like,
Oh yeah.
okay, yeah. Whenever they came to Seattle, they used to ask me to read with them.
Right on.
Time they came, they asked me to read with them.
Yeah. Kamud Dowd. He was at Long John's Memorial, as a
Oh,
matter of fact. There was.
yeah, they were good. I like them, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
And is there anywhere that I can read your work?
Uh,
Um, you could just Google me and my work should pop up. Um, let's see. There's an article that I did on kcet.org. It's called When Compton Was the Citadel of Black Political Power. And
Mm,
somebody's using it again because they asked me to reprint it. Um, some people I'm working with in Compton, so it'll be coming up again. But if you go to kce.org, it's part of a series that we did around the history around Compton.
okay.
So
Yeah, I'm a definitely. I'm. What was the title of that again?
it's called, well, actually, the website is kcet.org. The title of the article is When Compton Was the Citadel of Black Political Power. And we say
Okay.
that because, we elected the first Black mayor of a major municipality west of the Mississippi in 1969. We elected Douglas Dollarhide. And when we elected Douglas Dollarhide, he came in with not just being elected mayor, but he had a Black city council, he had a Black school board. He appointed the first Black police chief west of the Mississippi, the first Black fire chief, and the first Black
Hmm.
superintendent.
Let them know they're live right now.
Okay, okay. We're live right now, Elder, so we can go ahead and get started. I know we got caught up talking a little bit, but I'm glad to be here. My name is Daniel Brooks. I'm the Minister of Culture of the Black Liberation Party. I'm glad to be here and honored to be here with these OGs, these original gorillas, these elders that have a wealth of knowledge for us here today. So I want to welcome y'all. Revolutionary greetings to each and every one of y'all, and we can go ahead and just get started. I would like to just have y'all introduce yourselves at length or a bit, if you like. We can start with you, Robert, and we can just go around to Aaron and Bunchy as well. So we can start out that way.
All right. My name is Robert Lee Johnson. I was the coordinator of the Compton branch of the Southern California chapter of Black Panther Party in the 1970s. So in 77, we had reopened the Southern California chapter, and I was a participant in that. So I am a writer, so I write books on local history. So I have a book out on the history of the city of Compton called Images of America Compton. I have another book out. My latest book is called Notable Southern Californians in Black History. I've written several articles for magazines and newspapers, and I was just mentioning one of those to you, which was when Compton was the citadel of Black political power, which is at kcet.org. So that's been a well-received article, and it explains because when people look at the city of Compton, you tend to look at the sensationalized version. You look at the like Compton somehow just popped on the map, behind hip hop and rap. But in fact, as I was just discussing with you a little earlier, we elected the first Black mayor. Okay, we elected the first with an all-Black city council and an all-Black school board. So if you went to school in Compton at a certain time, you had Black male teachers. Matter of fact, the majority of them were recently just off of the civil rights battlefield. They had come from the HCBUs and they were ready to teach. They had a Black school district. So we were there at a very, very, very interesting time. But
Thank you, Robert. As a teacher myself, that's great to hear, and I appreciate that piece of history as well. Aaron, go right ahead, Elder.
Okay. Yeah, my name's Aaron Dixon. I was captain of the first chapter of the party outside of California. That was Seattle. So I spent the first 4 years of my time in the party was in Seattle, and then I was transferred to Oakland in '72. And most of my time, I spent 6 years in Oakland.
Appreciate that, Elder. And Bunchy, I see you there. Are you still with us, brother?
I think you had to step away for a minute.
Okay. Okay. Maybe we'll get Bunchy back in here as well. So we can go ahead and just move to the first question. With the most recent call to gather a united front against fascism, I want to ask you all a question about that, because the Black Panther Party called for that 55 years ago nearly. And I want to ask, what advice do you have for today's generation of revolutionaries and organizers as we seek to make good on the Black Panther Party's initial call for a united front against fascism 55 years ago? So just kind of talk about the relevance then, the relevance now, and the development and kind of trajectory from there.
go ahead, Aaron.
Well, I think it's a good time to call for that united front against fascism, because we definitely see that fascism is rearing its ugly head, not just through the Republican Party, but through some of the things and some of the actions of the Democratic Party. And we still, we had the Black Lives Matter movement, what 2 or 3 years ago, which was a very powerful movement while it lasted. And I guess you could say one of the factors that they were talking about was the fascism in America, particularly as it pertained to black people and other people of color. And even with all those people that came out for the Black Lives Matter marches and demonstrations, there still has not been any legislation or any movement in terms of dealing with the fascist police. Today, every time you pick up the newspaper, look through the news, you hear about a black person or a person of color that has been killed or beaten or jailed for no reason by the police departments. And so, the rhetoric coming out of Donald Trump's mouth and the Republican Party is very troubling, and it's very fascist in its nature. So I think we're at a point where we don't know what's going to happen in terms of fascism. We don't know what route the police departments are going to take in terms of addressing the issues of violence towards black people. So far, they haven't done anything. So I think the timing is good, to bring people together, bring different communities together, uh, and start addressing the issue of fascism in America.
Appreciate that, Elder. You talked about the Republican Party and their kind of mask off fascism, but and really what we're seeing now is we're seeing like both wings, both the Democratic wing and the Republican wing, as both like fascist wings now. Whereas one is packaging it in one way, and the other party is packaging it in another way. One with the Democratic Party with this like this gentleman's fascism and this mask off kind of Freddy Krueger version of fascism with the fascist Republican Party. So thank you, Elder. Robert, did you want to chip in on this one as well, about the United Front?
Yeah, I just want to say, just to tag on to what you just said, we have always been dealing with a fascistic, line in this country. I mean, come on, segregation, wage slavery. These are the things they just make in America. They just make fascism a little more palatable. Okay, they haven't come straight out. Now, what you have after the election of Barack Obama scared the hell out of a lot of these white supremacists who are always pushing. They said, "Oh yeah, we're white. We're running out of white people. That we're going to be a minority by the 2040s." And then Barack Obama gets elected out of left field. Boom. And so that kind of put a spotlight on their paranoia. And then some of us might remember back in the 70s when the Ku Klux Klan was running around here, especially in Southern California. They ran up against a wall. And they basically said, look, we're not going to run around with these hoods on and such. We're going to put on some suits and we're going to show up at the Republican Party and we'll push our agenda through the Republican Party. They started that in the 70s. And if you look at the history of a lot of the so-called conservative activists, they come straight out of the white supremacist movement. The guy who's been running around the country, who eventually got the right Supreme Court so he could get rid of affirmative action, that guy's been around a long time. He's been shopping different groups so he could have standing to come against these things. Stephen Miller. Stephen Miller has formed a law group to go after progressive organizations that are trying to do something for Black and other minority people exclusively. They're calling that reverse discrimination. Okay. So what we're trying to see, what we're seeing now is just a new movement that's trying to deconstruct some of the crumbs that we have gotten before from FDR all the way through to Obama. So those crumbs, okay, they said that's too much for you. And so they want to take that. And now some of us who were either born or bred from the South, we realize this. It had always been an unwritten rule that the highest black man could never be as high as the lowest white man. So if they perceived as a community that they were getting something, or like we were getting something like such as affirmative action or whatever, it was at the, how would you, it was like taking something from them. Okay, even though their kids they're not going to college or whatever, but it's taking something from them. And now you've heard it morph because you'll hear them now. They'll say, "Oh, this is not an affirmative action hire, but a DEI." See, they just want to update it because part of the idea is they looking around seeing what's happening with Trump, and they say, "Look at all these black prosecutors and judges. Where the hell they come from?" And they want to deconstruct that. And so you're seeing an attack on these institutions. And so, of course, we're looking at that and we're saying, oh, wow, this is new. But keep in mind, historically, come on, what? The Civil Rights Act came about in 1965. We're in 2024, we say 2025. And that's just a slight reprieve from the fascism and segregation that we've had through the history of this country. They just gave us 60 years, you know, not even that, off for a minute. You see what I'm saying? Because, and I'm gonna shut up right after I say this, because at the time with the modern civil rights movement came about, the stage was set between communism and capitalism. And they were trying to do a dance to show that oh, capitalism was better. And so they could not afford for the world to see their inequities, segregation, you know, discrimination, things of that. They no, because America's supposed to be this beacon, right? They were talking about what they were doing, what the fascists were doing in Germany to the Jews, until somebody looked it up and said, oh, they went to the United States to copy off the Jim Crow laws in order to come up with the laws that they did against the Jews. So when we start to understand that mix, we realize we've been fighting fascism all along.
Thank you, Elder Robert. Couldn't have put it better myself, especially when we talk about the historical context of the development of fascism. For many of our elders that lived through which is a form of apartheid, the Jim Crow South, even further back, our ancestors that lived through Reconstruction and through plantation slavery for hundreds of years are no stranger to fascism. So thank you for that historical analysis, Elder. We have two other Black Panther Party legends here as well, John Bunchy and Billy Shea Brooks as well. If you gentlemen could introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about yourselves, and then we can get to that first question for you both as well.
Yeah, well,
I'm John
I'm
Bunty
John
and
Clear.
I'm sorry,
I'm just joining.
Hey, Elder, you might want to mute
but,
one of your
yeah, I
mics.
joined the party and
But yeah, I joined the party
okay,
and
yeah. Hold on.
Yeah,
Okay,
you got two on.
hold on.
Yeah.
Yeah, hold on.
Got you in stereo, Bunchy.
Oh, Bunchy.
You got both muted, Elder. Just one.
Okay, is that better?
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I joined the party at age of 19, and I'm glad to be here with my comrades Aaron and Robert and Billy Shea. We all worked together in Oakland back in the 70s. And Billy Shea, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Well, thank you, comrade brother Billy Shea Brooks here. Illinois, Chicago, West Side, you know, just another brother trying to continue our struggle for liberation.
Well, it's an honor to be here with both of you. We were just talking about fascism and the trajectory of it, how the Black Panther Party called for a united front against fascism 55 years ago. And now there's a call now for, again, a new front, which is kind of disappointing when you think about it, that we've had 55 years to build that front. I wanted to talk to you all just about like what advice do you have for like newer organizers and revolutionaries, like as we seek to build this united front for it to last, you know what I mean, and for it to be something that could, you know, fight something off, to fight this resurgence of fascism and this development of neo-fascism.
Yeah, yeah, you know, but really, it's not a resurgence. I mean, it's been around. It's only now because, for one thing, that with the internet and social media, uh, you see more. Because the only thing, I don't want to talk about Trump too much, but all he did was give these fascists and these racists the opportunity to take their hoods off, come out the closet. I mean, it's always been here. I mean, nothing is new, like they say under the sun. And but the thing is that we have to, as a people, for one thing, is organized. Me myself, and I don't know my comments, but I have never seen so many selfish people and so many individualistic people in my life, even in the movement. Everybody's got a blog. Everybody's got an internet thing. Everybody, you know, everybody wants to be a commander, a chairman, the whole thing. But that's not organizing people. I mean, to organize, another thing I want to say about social media, it's a great thing. It gets out there fast. But we have to go back to, just like the party and many organizations in the past, to some grassroots organizing. You have to get out and you have to meet people. You have to touch people. You have to knock on the doors. I'm gonna say something about an organization, a religious organization that I have a lot of respect for. I don't agree with anything they say, but it's the Jehovah's Witness. They knock on doors. They stand in front of stores. I remember back in the 50s when I was a little boy, they were doing the same thing. And I remember when they come in the neighborhood, somebody would get on the phone and say, "Hey, Jehovah's Witnesses, they on the block." My mother would say, "Turn the TV off, be quiet, don't open the door." But all I'm saying is they get out there, and I have much respect for that. And that's what we don't have now. We don't have. It's just like with George Floyd. I had a friend of mine ask me, "What do you think is going to happen with the George Floyd thing?" And I say, it's going to be the same thing. The capitalists are going to do the same thing. They're going to throw money at it. I'll never forget, as a 13-year-old boy in Watts, doing Watts riots, what they do, they threw money at it. And you know what happened? You had people fighting each other over crumbs. You know, they put these development, and the same thing happened with George Floyd. What happened? And I have to give these young folks, because they were out there for like 3 months in a row, every day, and I was so proud. I had never seen a movement. Let me say it again, a movement like that in a long time. But what did the capitalists do? What they always do? They threw money at it. What did they do? They give millions to the NAACP. They give millions to the Urban League. They gave millions to Black Lives Matter, which wasn't supposed to be an organization. And I mean, that's what they do. So the thing that we have to do, it has to be grassroots. We have to come together, and we have to cut out all the rhetoric. You have to talk to people where they're at. You know, Huey P. Newton said that he couldn't understand. He could be talking to somebody, he could see what he's talking about clear as day. And he couldn't understand while the person he's talking to couldn't understand. And then he realized he had to come down to their level, to their level. And then he could talk to them. You know, I'll give you an example. I remember one time I was with a comrade selling the Black Panther Party newspaper. And he was pushing our agenda and pushing over, and the brother said, "No, I don't want that newspaper." And I asked him, I said, "Did you see that Houston Oilers game Sunday?" He said, "Oh man, yeah, that was a great game. Blah, 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 blah. Well, say I got it. You know, and then after we stopped talking, he said, "Man, give me one of them newspapers." So all I'm saying is we have to cut the rhetoric. We have to go back to some grassroots organizing. Like I say, social media is great. The internet is great. But you know what I see with social media? When I go to a lot of organizations, they have an event, it be the same people. Because that's all you're reaching. The same people. Be there. You got to get out there. You got to touch somebody. You got to uh, uh, let them look at you and you can explain things. Another thing, people try to follow example of the party. They give away food, they give away, but they're not giving out any education. That wasn't a part of its purpose. When we did with our programs, you got education, and at the same time, voting is important because the party said, Huey said, Bobby said, it's a tool. It's not the end means, but that's one of the things that we have right now. When we gave away 10,000 bags of groceries with a chicken in every bag, we registered over 4,000 people because voting is a tool. It's not the ends to a mean, and that's what a lot of people say. And a lot of people, I agree with them. They my vote because we don't really live in a true democracy. You know, uh, Republican and the Democratic Party is very little difference, but it hasn't been a Republican that has won the majority of the vote since Daddy Bush in 2009. But we've had two Republican presidents, Baby Bush and Trump. So it's not a true democracy. And just like with the Green Party in West, it's important because there's no way they're going to win. But it's bringing up issues that are important to people. It's bringing up issues, and that's an important thing. So I'm gonna turn it over to my comrade Billy Shea Brooks, and thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that wisdom, Elder Bunchy. You just brought up a lot of great points. Of course, one of the main priorities of this new united front against fascism and any united front is organizing face to face, getting personal with people. You know what I mean? Really getting down there and being one with the people and organizing around realistic needs as well. So and you touched on a lot of good points for young revolutionaries, because a lot of the times social media, all these different new phenomena, these technological advancements, as they are supposed to connect us more, they've actually disconnected us in a lot more of in a lot of ways. So I'm gonna move to you, Elder Billy Shea Brooks. We're talking about fascism. I wanted to hear your part. Hear your response on that question as well.
All right, Kenfolk. Brother Brooks, nice to meet you in person. When you talk about fascism, it's part and parcel of economic system that utilizes power, to oppress people. The police, the courts, the corrupt, demagogic politicians. Fascism isn't a state of mind. It's a process utilized to oppress and brutalize, people. When we used to say off the pig, it just wasn't relegated to the police. It was for the politicians. It was for the businessmen. And if you look at what's happening today, corporations have united around that whole concept, to disillusion and oppress young people. What I would say that would be critical for young people who want to struggle is to do some research, to understand the historical significance of our struggle for liberation here in America, and learn from the things that we were successful at and learn from them things that we fell down on. I think one of the most critical things that young people could do at this point in time is to be able to vet people that they associate with, you know, because that's one of the main instruments that the oppressor used to incorporate their fascist ways, provocateur agents. Back in the day, we didn't have a real true means of vetting people as you do today, and I think that being able to do that, then you make a commitment, based on an ideological framework that you all could agree on, that you all struggle with, and put together a strategy and a plan to do whatever it is that will take you to a higher level of conscious understanding, and at the same time put you in a position where then therefore you can educate people, to the various and sundry contradictions that are out there that they need to impact to bring about the type of social awareness and change that's necessary to create a new and more functional environment within your specific infrastructure. That's my take. A lot of things my comrade brothers have already said that don't need being repeated. But the main thing is for young people to make a commitment, to believe in that, stick with that, and each day try to get better with that. And that's by studying, reading, learning, and doing research that will help you understand the things that you need to do now, today, not what the hell we did yesterday, or what we might do tomorrow, but what you need to do today to stay alive today so that if tomorrow does come, you'll be prepared.
Thank you, Elder. Elder Billy and Bunchy just mentioned and just emphasized the importance of political education and researching and studying. So all of our comrades out there, if you hear us, man, because that's often the part that people, try to skip or think that we can negotiate with. And of course, that study has to be followed by practice, but one without the other, what do we have? So, just wanted to reemphasize that, just that importance of, because conscious building, there is no conscious building, there is no rising of consciousness without that political education and that study and that due diligence. So, wanted to just move on to one of the last questions as we have about 10 minutes here. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the counterintelligence program, which Elder Billy Shea already kind of touched on, talked about the different methods that people have of vetting people. I wanted to each of y'all to go around and talk a little bit about maybe your personal experience or maybe the party's experience with combating the counterintelligence program at that time, and maybe how that's relevant to us today and kind of how we can learn from that.
Real briefly, you need to pay attention to a lot of these old cats who call themselves warriors. Those are the prime suspects that they utilize to confuse young people. Okay? Check out their practice. Never listen to what someone say, because their social practice is how you determine whether they're being truthful or not. That's the best way, because if you don't, you're going to have some issues. That's my take.
You're muted, Bunchy.
That's a hard thing to do, but what one I think, you have to remember, and Billy Shea knows that, is that O'Neill was head of security. But one of my things is somebody that, because that's what they do, they train them. They let them know what somebody talks too much. I told a guy one time, I said, man, you know what? We don't want, because you talk too much. Like Billy Say said, it's all about your practice, and it's a very hard thing to determine. I'll just tell a quick thing about myself. When I was a freshman in college, I before I joined the party, I did community work with the party in Los Angeles. I used to sell the paper downtown with a comic named James Palms. One day, my mother came into the room, and she said, "Ricky, that's my family name." She says, "Two gentlemen in the living room. They're from the FBI." And I said, "Mama, stop playing with me. Don't do that." She said, "No, I'm serious." She says, "Two white men in the living room." I walked in, and there they were, the men in black. And I sat down. Their first question was, "Will you remember the Black Panther Party?" I told them no. Then they put out this big binder with all these pictures, but I'm really proud of my mother, because she stepped in and she said, "You asking all these questions." She said, "I have a question for you." They said, "Okay." She said that J. Edgar Hoover says that the Black Panther Party is the greatest threat to the internal security of the United States. She said, "What about the mafia?" So then they kind of backed up. They went to the salt and pepper one. Of them said, "Oh, well, the Black Panther Party do a lot of good things. They got breakfast programs. They got this and that." Then the other one, yeah, but when they talk about the violence. And then when they was leaving the house, they say, "John, if you just stay in school, you get you a good job, you'll never hear from us again." And I'm thinking in my mind, these motherfuckers trying to tell me how to live my life. Really, that's one of the things that pushed me to join the Black Panther Party. So all I'm saying, I'm thinking, how the hell did they know I'm just a college student? I was a college student, 18 years old, and they came to my house, but it was somebody that had to tell them. So it's hard to determine, but they're watching. They watch, and you have to, and especially if you're small in numbers, just like we say, power to people. That's what moves stuff. And it's good to protest, but you go out there with 4, 5 people, 6 people, they point everybody out. Oh, they go Leroy, they go Sarah, they go, you know what I mean? They know. And they're gonna plant somebody and they come in to talk. Your same talk. Oh yeah, that's a good brother. He know all about, revolution. So you have to be careful.
Well, I'll tell you, one of the organizations that we set up in Southern California was the Coalition Against Police Abuse. And there was a former Panther named Michael Zinzan who was involved with that. Michael was just really smart, tactical, very, very strategic brother. And he set up a cadre basically to do just that, to vet. And this is back in the 70s, so no computers and stuff like that. But he just had you do common sense stuff, like go through public records. We went through the voting rolls, and that's how we were able to expose a lot of the LAPD who had infiltrated both the party and the Coalition Against Police Abuse, because in the voter rolls, you have to put your occupation. Several of them said police recruit or police, and there it was. And that's what ended up leading to our lawsuit. We ended up suing the LAPD over illegal spying. We were part of that in the 80s. But that's what that came out of. That was just a cadre who was doing that security work, who came up with that. And then one of our comrades rolling down the street looked up and saw this cat who was, supposed to be, one of us. And he said, "Oh man, this brother's the police." He was in uniform. This was like a few years. This was a few years after in the early 80s. So he was able to identify this guy. Says, "Okay, so now we know who was involved in." And these things start. We went to the ACLU. They ended up supporting us in the lawsuit, but it was just doing diligence. And the thing that you'll hear all my comrades will say the same thing. It's not the rhetoric, it's the practice. You can tell who that person is by the fruit of their work. Okay? If wherever that person goes, there's confusion. Now, they might not straight out be the police. They just might be a person who causes confusion, but either or, it's the same damn thing.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? I wanted to say something earlier too, because the comrades who were all in Oakland, when we made that move for Lionel Wilson, and you were talking about going door to door. I mean, I was able to participate in that campaign. That was, at that time, and I was amazed because Elaine had us out there, okay, door to door. We went door to door. I know I went door to door. She called us up. She called us up from Southern California to work in that campaign, and that's why these things work. Your organizing ability is not doing a rally. We used to call them folks rally panthers because everybody show up, but it's in doing that day-to-day work.
Right.
When we would come up from Southern California and we go to what we used to call the base, which is Oakland, and we go to the Oakland Community Center, and I'm gonna tell you the most down revolutionary that I saw there was waxing the floors. You understand what I'm saying? Okay, was waxing the floor so those kids had a clean place to go to school. Okay, the same thing when we talk about the breakfast program. The same people when we look in this generation who are now saying, nigga, where you from, and what set you represent, we're the same group of people, the same age group that got up 5 o'clock in the morning to feed other people's children. So we have to say what transpired between then and now. And Daniel, I'm gonna tell you, you kind of hit it on the head when you first introduced us, and you didn't say original gangsters, you said original guerrillas. Because there was a whole movement, okay, to change the culture on the streets from the late 60s and the 70s from one of a revolutionary activist culture to a gangster culture. That took place in front of us.
Right.
Movies and everything, because what the idea was, they realized how powerful the media was. So they made revolutionaries look like fools in those movies. You look at that. Shaft, all those. Either the guy was either the police working with the police, okay, or he was a drug dealer or a hustler. You see what I'm saying? And that's what they were glorifying. Sure. The last person they were going to glorify was a revolutionary. So they made the revolutionaries look like chumps. That was the media. Now, you cannot sustain a movement just based on protests. One of the things that the Black Panther Party left is a template. We're watching Elaine Brown today at over 80 years old is still acting out that template. Decent housing was part of that 10-point platform program. And she has put that together. Okay? You look at what the party, the survival programs weren't just, and I think either Bunchy or Aaron had mentioned it earlier, it wasn't just, just to do a program. It was to unify the community behind it. I mean, I want you to think about it. Early in the morning, these people's kids getting fed. The most effective program, breakfast program, was one where the people took it over.
That's right.
And did it themselves. With the Black Panther Party program, if it was effective, that's when we saw those mothers come out and realizing that collectively we could feed the community. We might not be able to feed our kids individually, but you know what? Collectively, and that was the principle. We didn't have to say socialism. We didn't have to sit down and explain intercommunalism to them. They understood that breakfast program. They understood that free medical clinic. And they kept looking at it. They said, well, how can these kids do this, but the government can't? And so we organized around those issues. One of the major, I don't want to monopolize the time, but one of the major issues for Black women who are pregnant, we don't even hear about it that much. It's just like back in the day when we were talking about sickle cell anemia. Necrotizing fasciitis is the leading killer of Black infants. But you probably haven't heard that before. I had to get it from a biologist. There's a brother who works at one of the hospitals here. That's the leading cause of infant death, mortality. Necrotizing fasciitis. All right? So when we talk about prenatal care, we talk about medical clinic, these are the issues we bring up. How come this isn't known? Why is this not in the forefront? Okay? How come we don't have medical care for everybody? How come everybody doesn't have access to food? So we end up doing a free food giveaway, computer literacy. Okay, there's a gap. All right. What we do is you look into your community. It might not be the same programs that we did 50 years ago because there's new situations, but ways to get into the community so that you're working with people and bringing those people together. Because right now, everybody's afraid of each other. So they hemmed up in their houses. When you get them out interacting with each other, that's real organizing. Because the next time something happens, you have a whole group of community coming out to the school board meeting or to whatever that is that dealing with the police because they're going, inevitably they're going to kill another community member. Okay, but how do you get the community involved? Is, well, one, the community need to meet other people in the community because when most of us were coming up, our parents they knew the kids out there. So if one kid got hurt or something like that, okay, and Billy J, you could probably tell me if this was true, but I always heard that Fred Hampton's mother would babysit Emmett Till.
That's true. That's true.
So you have those connections. You see what I'm saying? And if we, as the vanguard revolutionaries, we are charged with making those connections if we call ourselves the vanguard in our community.
Right on.
Thank you, Elder Robert. All powers of the people. Appreciate that. Aaron, did you want to go ahead and chip in as well about the counterintelligence program, Elder? I think you may still be muted, Elder.
Yeah, Aaron, you're muted. You're muted.
Okay. Okay. So I think one of the most important aspects of the Black Panther Party and what we were taught by Huey is to think big. Not to think small, but to think big. The breakfast program feeding thousands of kids all across the country, that was thinking big. Open up free medical clinics, that was thinking big, without having any money to back it up or anything. That was thinking big. And when you think big and you work on projects like that we had, the breakfast program, the clinic, the newspapers, having our circulation of 350,000 strong all over the world, we were thinking big and we were doing big things. And just like everybody else said, Billy J. Brooks, Robert said, that practice is the criteria for truth. And we knew people who were dedicated to working in the clinic, dedicated to working in the breakfast programs, or working on the campaigns. We could tell if they were for real or not because they were working. They were working hard. Now, when we first came out with the free breakfast program, a lot of people left. A lot of people left. A lot of them were informants because they didn't want to do no breakfast program. They weren't going to get up every day and go feed no kids, no breakfast every single damn day. So we got to think big, and through thinking big and creating programs that are going to really affect the community, we know who's going to be with us and we know who's not going to be with us. And Robert brought up Elaine Brown. Elaine Brown, first of all, she led that campaign to put Lionel Wilson into office. Now, that was the first time that Oakland elected a black mayor for city council. For mayor. That was because of the Black Panther Party. We put Lionel Wilson in that seat. We actually took over the city of Oakland. That was the whole goal of making Oakland a base of operations. The goal was to take over Oakland. And people say, how are you going to take over Oakland? Well, we did. We took over Oakland. When we put Lionel Wilson in the office, we also chose the first black police chief that was going to be in office. The Black Panther Party did that. We were going to have party members on the Port of Oakland. So, we were thinking big. We were doing big shit. And that's what you have to think. You have to think big. You can't just do little community stuff and just do little this and do little stuff here. But what is hurting the community the most? What is affecting the community the most? And how can we address those issues? Homelessness is a big problem. People coming out of prison and not having nowhere to go is a big problem. Well, Elaine Brown, she just raised $80 million and is just getting ready to open her facility that's not only going to house people coming out of prison and people that are homeless. It's going to have 5 businesses on the lower level. It's going to have a community garden on top. She's solving several problems right there. And that's how we have to think. We can't be focused on somebody being an informant or a snitch or whatever. We can't focus on that. If somebody comes to us and they want to help, here, do this. This is what want you to do. This is what we need you to do. Be out there, go out there, bring us some money, find us a place to build something, you know, these types of things. That's how we have to think. And the informants, the snitches, and the COINTELPRO, they'll all fall to the wayside. They'll fall to the wayside. But we got to think big, and it takes a lot of work to think big and make big things happen. But that's what we got to do. We can't just be, rhetoric, talking rhetoric about this and rhetoric about that. Let's solve some of these problems that we have in our community. If you put the organization together, you got people to work with, you can solve a whole lot of problems.
Thank you, Elder. You heard it first from a Black Panther Party elder and original guerrilla that we must think big, comrades, think as big as possible. But not only that, we have to put it into practice and we have to study. We have to reach out to the people. We have to see ourselves as the people. We have to love the people. We have to do everything in our power together as comrades and as human beings in the world. So I just want to thank every single one of y'all for taking the time to spend with us. We can do lasting remarks, anything you want to plug, any of the work that you're doing now, or just any statements that you have for the comrades here before we go.
Hey, it's good to see Billy J. Brooks up here. It's good to see Robert Johnson. It's good to see Bunchy. I'm happy. This makes my day.
I'll follow right behind you. It's been a while. It's been a while, Robert.
Right.
I seen you a couple years ago, Bunchy, but we stay in touch on Facebook. I was with Aaron last month.
Right. That's right.
So
that's right.
It's just good to vibe with real righteous comrades and continuing to do the work that needs to be done. The beat goes on. Fuck the police.
Right on.
Yeah, that's the thing about it, Daniel.
I
With
couldn't put it
party
any better.
members, we worked hard together. We lived together. We did everything together. And so even after 50-some years, we know each other's voices. We don't forget each other. I remember Elaine, we were talking about Elaine. I saw Elaine was here in Houston maybe about 6 years ago. I hadn't seen her since 1978. And so she saw what she saw. She said, Bunchy? I said, yeah. She said, oh my God. She said, we went to hell together and back. And I said, yeah, you're right. And that's the thing about it. That's why we never forget each other, because we worked hard and we lived together and we took care of each other. A lot of people ask, were you scared? Well, no, because I had my comrades. Of course, you knew what was out there, but I had my comrades I loved and I knew had my back. Men and women.
Right on. Mostly women.
Tell you some of the most impressive women. I think of Joan Kelly. You always think of Joan Kelly because she was just a revolutionary woman. Okay?
Yes.
No more.
Oh yeah.
You had to admire her strength.
Yeah.
I mean, you can just pick one, because by the time when I was in the party by the mid late 70s, women were running most of the programs.
Yes, they were. They were running the program.
Yeah, Regina over at the school. I mean, it's
Yeah,
we have
we
to
had some
re
tough
yeah,
sisters.
we have
And
we have
intelligent sisters, tough sisters.
well, we
True
just have
that.
to realize that not to get caught up in fantasy or how the media or whatever tries to portray revolutionary change. You know, what we create is going to be unique in all of its own because we are in a unique situation.
True that.
So we looking at, we used to say youth make the revolution, but I'm gonna tell you something. And Billy J, I know y'all saw this in Chicago too. In the 80s,
Hmm.
look here, the police or whoever they were doing the crack epidemic would leave on the railroad tracks train carloads of weapons.
Still do.
All right, they just leave them there. Now, when we was looking for what we were coming up with with nothing like that. So they know that, hey, if when you have no ideology except making a buck, they'll put
See,
a gun in your hand, no problem,
the
because you'll
essence
do your
of
job.
capitalism. That's right.
So
Wow.
study. If there's somebody who resists study, they're resisting the people. They're resisting the revolution.
Right on.
Absolutely. All
All
power
power
to
to
the
the
people.
people.
Thank y'all so much. I
Thank
feel
you, my
blessed
brother.
and honored to be here. Thank you so much for y'all time. Be safe out there, brothers, and I hope to see you all again.
Right
Thank you for
on.
the
All
invitation.
power to the people.
All power to the
All
All
people.
power
power.
to the people.
Right on.
Peace.
So we can hear us clapping.
Forward to seeing you all soon.
Y'all can't see us, but you can hear us.
Okay. Right on.